Alright, so last week I ran a Minotaur deck at F&M and I went 3-2 and it was a ton of fun and I just got to trample, well not trampling, but I just got to horde everyone with a bunch of Minotaurs and it was fantastic. So the land base for this is 24 lands total. I have 12 mountains and 12 swamps. Originally I had wanted to put 4 Temples of Malice into here, but they're a little slow coming in tapped, and so I wanted to be a little more aggressive with this deck, and so I just used regular mountains and swamp for it. So for creatures, we have 4 Gnarled Scarhides in the 1-drops. It's just a basic 2/1 Minotaur, can't block, but with a couple other combinations and stuff it can get a lot bigger, but it's a good 1-drop to have in the deck. For 2-drops, I have a Deathbellow Raiders. Now, it's a 1 colorless, 1 red mana for a 2/3 Minotaur. Most of these Minotaurs are going to be 2/3. It's just the standard Minotaur blocking toughness thing. But it has to attack each turn, but you can also regenerate it for 3 mana, 2 colorless, and a black, which is good in later times, so you can regenerate it and still use it for block. But I have 4 of those for 2-drops. For 3-drops, I have quite a few. Most of this deck is actually 3-drops with only a couple, or 2 4s and 8 5s. But, so our first 3-drop is Minotaur Skullcleaver. This card's awesome. It has haste, and when it enters the battlefield, it gets +2/+0, so you're automatically swinging with a 4/2. But then it just goes back to a 2/2. But still, being able to have that haste and that surprise, here's a 4/2 they now have to block, is really, really good. And so I've got 4 of him in there. I also have another 3-drop is Kragma Butcher. I'm not as big of a fan as him, purely because he is a 2/3, but his inspired ability, which means you have to attack or tap him and then untap in order to get the +2/+0. But when you can get him going, it's really good because then you're also attacking with a 4/3, which is awesome. I also include 4 copies of Felhide Petrifier. Now this is the Minotaur that is 2/3, and it has Death Touch, and it gives all your other Minotaurs Death Touch, which since everything in this deck is a Minotaur, it's going to have Death Touch. Everything gets Death Touch when one of these is out, so it's really awesome. I also have 2 copies of Boros Reckoner. For 3 mana, you have to pay 3 red for it, so it's kind of difficult to get out, which is why I only have the 2 copies, but it's a 3/3, you can give it first strike, and if it's dealt any damage, you get to redirect that damage and deal that much damage to either a creature or the player. So you can definitely close out games quickly with this because they're not going to want to deal damage to it and they're going to have to get it off the board as fast as they can. My final 3-drop is Ragemonger, and it's 1 colorless, a black, and a red mana for just a 2/3 Minotaur, but its ability is that all Minotaur spells you cast cost 1 black and 1 red mana less, so all your Minotaurs are going to cast less. That means you can cast a Gnarled Scarhide basically for free. You can cast your Boros Reckoners for 2 mana instead of the 3 red color, and most of the other stuff, it won't matter what color you need to cast because all the rest of it's colorless, which is awesome. Especially it means you'll be able to get out your 1 5-drop card for only 3 mana, which is really, really a cruel thing to do, and your opponent is not going to like it. But so yes, 4 of those because he is just that good. Alright, my final creature, it's a 5-drop, 3 colorless and a black and a red, but because of Ragemonger you can usually only have to pay 3 mana for him. It is Kragma Warcaller. It's just a 2/3 Minotaur, but he gives all your other Minotaurs haste, and whenever a Minotaur you control attacks, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So that in combination with your already 4/3 Minotaurs that you're going to be having, because of their inspired trigger or their when it enters the battlefield, are going to be 6/3 Minotaurs. It is ridiculous, and that Gnarled Scarhide that's just a simple 2/1, it's now a 4/1 and blocking pretty big thing, or hitting and attacking for pretty big things. So it's really good to have those. I also include 2 copies of Mogis, God of Slaughter, mostly just because he's awesome. And if you have a Minotaur deck, I felt like he had to be in there because he is the God of Slaughter, he is the Minotaur King, even though he's not technically a Minotaur. But I never actually got attacked with him as a creature, but his ability where you have to, your opponent, if they don't sacrifice a creature, they take 2 damage, is pretty mean, especially if you're playing against a control deck and are able to get this down on turn 4. Your opponent's going to be taking 2 damage every single turn because usually they don't have a creature to sacrifice. So he's pretty good on that. And for my last set of 4 cards in this deck, it's the only sorcery spell I have in here, but it is 4 copies of Flurry of Horns. Now, this is 5 mana, and what it does, it gives you 3 Minotaurs, or yes, 3 red Minotaurs with haste onto the battlefield. Tap 5 mana, put these down, and you get 2 more attackers and blockers. If you already have a Kragma Warcaller out, they're going to be 4 3s attacking, and well, they already have haste, so they're going to be 4 3s attacking into your opponent. This deck is awesome. It moves really quickly once you get it going, and it is just a ton of fun to play with. For sideboard cards, I had a couple things like Read the Bones, Doomblades, Dark Betrayals, just your basic removal, and some card draw stuff just to get things going a little faster, because you can empty your hand out really fast with this, and it's nice to be able to replenish and refill it if you get the chance. So that is the Minotaur deck, and like I said, I ended up going 3-2, and I was really happy with that. I did really well that night. But let me know what you think of it in the comments below, like this video, and subscribe for more.